Hey you guys, so we're back. Today is part 2 of my fall table setting. So yesterday I showed you how it's going to set the table for entertaining, and today we're going to actually cook the food and get the food set out so you can see the whole project completed. So let's go in the kitchen and get cooking. Before I start prepping my food, I want to get my oven preheated to 350. I'm going to do a little happy dance because I have my apron on and I'm ready to cook. I have to prepare some pasta, so I have some boiling water and I've already added salt and oil. You always want to oil and salt your water when you're preparing pasta. I'm making some elbow noodles for this dish and everything is good. I'm just going to give it a stir and let it do its thing. My pasta is all done, so I'm going to drain it in a strainer and get all of the excess water off so that I can start preparing my dish. So here's what we'll need: some cheddar cheese, some Colby Jack cheese, peas and carrots, tuna, milk, cream of mushroom soup, some paprika. That's just going to top it at the end. I have some black pepper, just some ground black pepper, salt. I probably use about a teaspoon of each of those. Some finely chopped onion, probably about a half of a small onion, but really do it to taste. Some butter and some pan spray. I always spray my pan before I cook. It just makes it so much easier when you clean up. I always spray my pan when I do my macaroni and cheese or anything that I'm baking in the oven. So I've got my noodles, and I usually make about a half a box of the noodles, and I usually have some left over. When I'm cooking, I'd rather have too much than not enough. The additional noodles that I have, I'll package them up and use them for another dish for another day. So I'm gonna add my butter first because I want the butter to melt in the noodles and get it nice and creamy before I start adding my other items. Now that my butter is melted, I start adding my other ingredients. Now, I don't like to give exact measurements for things like salt and pepper and paprika. I mean, it really is dependent upon your taste. Some people like more pepper, like I do. I like a lot of pepper. Some people like less salt or more salt. So really, you know what your taste is, so you should add accordingly. I'm just gonna add some onions, and I just add the onion for that extra flavor. I don't saute them like I do when I make my macaroni and cheese, because when I make my macaroni and cheese, I don't want the crunch, but I don't mind having a little bit of crunch in my tuna casserole. So I'm going to add a whole can of cream of mushroom soup, and this is a recipe that my mom taught me how to make when I was probably in high school. And when I was younger, I would make it for my friends, and they would request it all the time. A couple of my girlfriends, we all live together in Detroit, and we have a couple of friends. One guy's name is Will Word. Hey, Will. And Rudy. We used to call him Rudy, but now he wants to be called by his legal name, which is Watson. So, hey, Rudy. And they would always come over my house and ask me to make this dish. And for some reason, they used to call it Spooner Tuna Noodle. They just gave it its own name. I don't know how you spell that. But anyway, it's so funny because for years and years, they would just kind of pop up at my house and ask me to make tuna casserole. I remember Rudy would be playing tennis across the street from where we lived, and he used to teach tennis. And he would come over after in his little tennis shorts and bang on the door and ask me to cook some tuna casserole, and I would always oblige. So anyway, that's just my tuna casserole story. But as you can see, I'm just mixing all of the ingredients together. Now, as far as cheese goes, I have quite a bit here, and you can add as much or as little as you want. I happen to like quite a bit of cheese, and the sharp cheddar cheese just gives it a really nice flavor. But again, just do it to your taste. If you like a lot of cheese, add a lot of cheese. If you don't like a lot of cheese, then just don't. And I also like Colby Jack. I also put that in my mac and cheese too, and I'm probably going to do a video on that later today because I'm having some people over this weekend. So I always use whole milk. Don't skimp on the milk. You don't want to use half and half, or I mean, if you just have to and you want to cut back on some of the fat, then that's fine. But I like to use the good stuff when I'm making my food. So yeah, I'm just mixing everything up, and we're almost done with this tuna casserole. Now that I have everything mixed together, I just usually take a spoon and just kind of press everything down tight, and I'm going to start topping my surface with more cheese. Now this is going to give it a nice crispy layer of cheese on top, so I'm adding both cheeses, the shredded sharp and the Colby Jack. Sometimes I'll even put it under a broiler and get it really nice and crispy. Once I have all my cheeses on the surface, then I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit of this smoked paprika on top for some additional flavor. And we are ready for the oven. Now I think this is going to be the perfect combination for my tuna casserole. I love a good salad, and this is my crunchy spinach salad. So it's just baby spinach. I'm adding some dried cranberries and coleslaw. I know people are like, coleslaw in a salad? Oh, but it gives such a nice refreshing flavor and crunch. You'll love it. I'm adding some red onion and some salt and peppered almonds. And for my dressing, I'm going to use a little cilantro lime. And this is just going to be a nice little combination. Now, I normally would add strawberries to this because I do love fruit in my salad, but I looked at my strawberries today and they didn't look too good. So we're just going to omit them. The cranberries will do just fine. So the next thing I'm going to add to my menu is just an individual Caprese salad. I do love Caprese. In one of my previous videos, I showed you guys how to make a stuffed avocado Caprese, but this is your traditional Caprese. Tomato, basil, mozzarella, and balsamic glaze. Again, you could use balsamic vinegar, but I prefer the balsamic glaze. Now that everything is plated and everything looks uniformed, I've added a little bit of salt and pepper, and my last step is just to drizzle a little bit of the balsamic glaze on each of my plates, and that's it. It's just really simple, and your guests will absolutely love this dish. So it's been about 45 minutes, and I'm ready to get my casserole out of the oven. And it looks absolutely perfect. Just turn off the oven and we're almost ready to eat. So I have these porcelain bowls, and I'm going to place 2 slices of the casserole in each bowl and sit it between each of the place settings. I have my Caprese already, and I've taken my salad and placed them in individual bowls. And as an added little bonus, I decided to make some little small tea sandwiches, and I'll show you how to make those in another video. And I topped it off with a little fresh fruit. And there you have it, you guys. My table is complete. I have all of the food set out. My guests are pretty prompt and they usually come on time, so I usually set the table just before it's time for everyone to arrive. That way my tuna casserole is warm, my salad is fresh and not soggy, and everything is on the table. Look at these cute little miniature tongs that I found at Home Goods. They had the little spatulas and everything. I'm so obsessed right now. I've got my Prosecco on ice, and I have my little bottles for everyone to take with them. The water glasses are filled. And yeah, that's pretty much it, you guys. I think everything turned out wonderful. I'm pretty sure my friends are so appreciative anyway, but I'm sure everyone will really enjoy lunch today. And I'm looking forward to just sitting down and spending some time with my girlfriends and having a nice afternoon. Hey, so I hope you enjoyed this video today, and if you did, please subscribe to my channel, give it a big thumbs up, and share. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest at Simply Ormandy. Ciao!